Greetings, job people. I am so excited that you guys are attending this tutorial lecture on the power of honey. Now we're going to be talking about some truth-shocking information that you probably never heard before, because there's a lot of myths and different scams that are going on with honey. So I'm going to be clarifying these things with you, but I hope that you are able to keep up on the way that I will be teaching this lecture. Now, the cycle of life actually depends on one particular insect. Most insects they call are in the animal category. So for those who might say insects are animals, I want you to ask yourself, do they behave like animals or do they behave like insects? Now, the entire plant world is dependent on this particular insect, and that is the honeybee. Now, when you're conscious enough to understand that the whole world relies on this honeybee, it actually becomes the governor of the plant world. In some cultures, they actually worship the honeybee as the supreme divine. And the reason why is because without the honeybee, there won't be any plant world, or there won't be any fruits and vegetables to sustain our living. The honeybees perform two vital functions out here, and that is pollination. And 1/3 of the human diet is derived from insect pollinated plants, and honeybees are responsible for 80% of that pollination. Now, someone once said that, oh, don't eat honey, that's bee vomit. Bees are animals. Now, for those strict vegans out there that think that you're not supposed to eat it or it's an animal, I just want you to leave that up to your own consciousness, for you can understand. So bees use their tongues for one reason and one reason only, and that is to syringe up the nectar from those flowers. Now, they have these compartments inside of their bodies called the honey stomach, and that is used to hold the nectar there until it gets to the beehive. Before it can even get to the beehive, the honeybee is doing some amazing little things. And those things are activating the special enzymes made inside and released by the hypopharyngeal glands of the honeybee. Now, we're going to get a chance to talk about the enzymes a little later. Now, when it reaches the beehive, it must pass on that nectar to the forwarding honeybee. Now, how does it do this? Well, they don't carry around honey buckets, so they have to use what the Most High has given them. And this is the process that people like to call the bee vomit. Well, it's actually the process of regurgitation until it is placed into the honey chamber. Now, these insects are like brilliant little chemists. They add more strength, enzymatic strength, by other sugars, lipids, proteins, and minerals, and of course they have the B vitamins. Now, it's still a little bit watery until it reaches the when it reaches the honeycomb, but it sits in there, and other bee workers come over there and they fan their wings, making it evaporate. So as it matures, it takes the 80% water and turns it into 20% water. And it matures even more as it sits there, and it turns into 17% water content. And it's very, very sticky. So by this time, it's ready for human consumption. So I learned some very interesting facts studying honey, and this is what I couldn't wait to tell you guys. Now, this stuff is like some super protectant. It engulfs the bacteria and the viruses, and it destroys it. The glucose oxidase enzyme actually kills all of the bacteria. And it acts as a preservative for the honey. Now, bees have to protect their honey, so that's their #1 goal, is to get honey all day long. So they're equipped with this natural antibiotic, which is a protein that is called B defensive 1. And it is a part of the immune system that is used to fight off viruses and bacteria. Now, we also know the story of the queen bee that is killing off all of the other queens so she can be the only one on the hive. But we did not know that the queen can actually spread STDs to the rest of the colony. Now, if she is infected with this bee parasite called nosema, she gets a chance to have sex with over 100 male drones and can lay up to 2,000 eggs per day. And can pass it along to her offspring. But since they have that protective antibiotic, B defensive 1, this helps them fight off that virus and those parasites. And the only way you can tell that the hive has been infected with this parasite is that basically they will have deformed wing syndrome. So I've talked enough about all these different scientific facts. We're going to go into the lab, see what the honey is actually doing inside of the body. So let's go to the lab. So what's inside of this honey, guys? Well, other than B vitamins, the honey is primarily composed of 40% glucose and 40% fructose. And we got a little bit of water in there. It also contains other sugars as well as the lipids, the trace enzymes, the other minerals and amino acids. Now remember I said that this regurgitation process that they do, well, these little bees are like chemists, and some of those live enzymes found in honeybees are the glucose oxidase, the amylase, the protease, and catalase. This is what gives the strength and the power behind the honey as a honey treatment or a protocol. Now let's go inside of glucose oxidase, for example. Now, glucose oxidase is produced by these hypopharyngeal glands of the honeybee workers, and then is deposited into the honeycomb. So this glucose oxidase enzyme is only there to uptake or convert glucose, the free glucose, into glucuronic acid. So glucose is converted by the enzyme glucooxidase into glucuronic acid. Now, usually, if there is glucose in abundance in the bloodstream, the process of cellular respiration has one of 4 different phases of metabolism. So I want to show you here, well, I can't go in too much deep about it, but the glucose, if it's floating around in the bloodstream, is usually uptaken by insulin receptors on the cell or the ATP synthase that converts it over into ATP molecules. Also, it has the fermentation and the lactic acid phases that it goes through inside of the bloodstream. And then it can uptake through these cells. And we have another phase called the electron transport phase here, where it makes molecules open up for more adenosine phosphates to work faster. Now, I want to go deep into that, but I can't right now. So we're going to save that for our diabetes treatment lecture. But like I said, glucose oxidase can take up free glucose. So that means that it has to go around through the liver and go through a phase 2 detox pathway called glucuronidation. Now, once the glucose is converted into glucuronic acid, it is left with 2 of these hydrogens and 2 of these oxygens. And it creates what we know as hydrogen peroxide. Now, hydrogen peroxide can be used in cellular health in many different ways. One of the ways it can be used as send leukocytes to heal wounds in the body. Glucuronic acid has a low pH. So the pH is around 3.4 to 4.4. That means it's very acidic. And it will protect the mucous membranes from any bacteria or yeast that could be forming, and without even harming the good bacteria. So it will inactivate the hormones of the liver, like the estrogens. It will inactivate the benzene, like from benzoic acid, and a lot of the different drugs, pharmaceutical drugs that may be left in this area of glucuronidation. And we get a chance to excrete them throughout our urinary system. Now, studies have revealed that honey can enhance the growth of good bacteria, such as like our bifidobacteria here. And it will fight the bad bacteria, H. pylori. So if a person ever had like leaky gut syndrome or ulcers, the honey has the ability to regrow that lining of that gut. So if you're taking about 2 to 4 tablespoons of honey, then you're going to have higher antioxidant levels. Like it's going to help keep those cholesterol plaques or arterial plaque formations from forming inside of blood vessels. It's going to raise those glutathione levels by 12%. So overall, eating honey, you will have a healthier heart. And we already know that it is antibacterial and antimicrobial, but we don't know that it is a superfood because it contains these it contains acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter. You know, it controls whether we stop our movement or keep moving. So it raises those acetylcholine levels. Now I take honey every single day. I take it along with garlic. And I want to show you guys how I do this, but as we finish up here, I want you to know about what honey is the best quality honey, what to look for, because they do have a couple of fake honeys out there. So let's go into the kitchen so we can see what's going on. Okay, job people, I said I was going to show you guys how I consume my garlic and honey, and I also wanted to show you guys what is the top quality honey, how to find out what is the best honey. So as I talk to you guys about this, I'm going to be cutting up my garlic. I bought some of the localized honey that's around in Florida. So they say if you buy from the region, then you're going to have some good honey. So I bought this organic, raw, unfiltered honey from one of just localized farmers here in Florida, and I'm going to be comparing it to some of the top quality honeys that you will find online. You can't find it here. This is called 100% raw Manuka honey. Now Manuka honey, you can tell that is very high quality when you see the K factor 16 right there. They measured this by these special flowers over there in Australia. In New Zealand, they have these flowers that could have these methylglyoxal chemicals inside of the flowers. And that's one of the top strands of honey that you will find. So I want to do a little experiment on the honey as I get ready to prepare this garlic. So I just had a little small clove right here to get prepared. So they say if you have a good top quality honey, because there's a lot of scams going on out there where people are basically putting high fructose corn syrup. See, I'm going to show you here that this is that raw, unfiltered, localized honey. So I'll put a bit right there. And I'm also going to take a little small teaspoon of Manuka honey and put it in this jar here. I know these jars are pretty much crystallized, but you're going to be able to see it because I'm going to show you the inside of it. Right. So what I want to do is just pour some water on it, regular water, not a lot. I'm just going to give it a little shake. And this is the thicker honey over here, and this is already just looking like it's dissolving pretty fast already. And I'm not going to stir it or anything, but as you can see, if you can see that the raw localized honey is already dissolved. Look at this. This has not dissolved. So it didn't take long because, like I said, honey with this 83% sugars that's inside of it, it's screaming for honey. It really wants more and more water. So it needs the water. So that's the reason why this still has not dissolved yet. That's very top quality brand right there, people. So definitely, that's already dissolved. Not a good localized honey. So even if you get it from the store, that's gonna be even faster. You don't want it to dissolve fast. You want it to be full of those live enzymes we've been talking about. Now I want to just go ahead and have a bit of this honey. This is really thick. This is what you need. I put my little cut up pieces of garlic here in the honey. That way you don't taste it so much. You always have a cup of water right next to you, and you just take it. You don't really supposed to chew it. Don't chew it. Just swallow it. You get you one more teaspoon of that. And put the rest of your cloves on there. That's good honey. So, you guys, in closure, I want to let you know that people have been using honey for thousands of years. It's been found in the Egyptian tombs. And guess what? It wasn't even spoiled yet. It's unspoilable. This is one of God's immortal substances. This is liquid gold, people. So get more of your honey. So I want to give thanks for you guys listening, tuning in into this tutorial. I leave you with shalom. I see you at the next tutorial. Give thanks.